So, a little while ago, I made a video talking about how, in my eyes, and I think in the eyes of many, Disney is in the midst of the worst rut they've had in years. Yet another dark age where their films are not being successful at the box office, sometimes for reasons outside of their control, such as COVID, but at other times just because they're releasing films that people don't really enjoy all that much or want to see, i.e., Strange World, or really, Wish. My god. If you ever want to see a fandom unite to fight the mouse, go to the YouTube comments of any of the songs from Wish and there it is. But yeah, there hasn't been a lot of joy for Disney in recent years. It's a shame, but that's just how it is. But there is one film that really did capture hearts and minds. Its box office was well and truly murdered by COVID, but it went viral on Disney+. Everybody was watching it, the songs blew up too, and then it even went on to win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. Long story short, this film was epic. It was perfection and it fired on all cylinders. Music, story, animation. And of course, that film was Encanto. An absolute banger. And so now we've had that announcement. It seems Disney is going to go back to basics and churn out 2 more sequels to Frozen, as that was a box office smash 2 times over. And Zootopia, which was also a box office smash, no doubts about that either. Made over $1 billion. And so it would probably be a safe bet the audiences will return and are going to go see these films in droves. They're going to be profitable for the studio and restore their reputation somewhat, pull them out of the rut. And so, if I may, perhaps I can throw yet another hat in the ring. The aforementioned Encanto. This film needs a sequel. And I don't really know what kind of sequel just yet, but we'll puzzle one out together. But before all that, we got to talk about why a sequel would be a good idea. Okay, for starters, we have that monetary incentive, right? The sequels that have been announced for Disney and Pixar have all been massive money spinners. Frozen, Zootopia, Toy Story, all of them regularly breaking the billion, and are all featured in the top 10 highest grossing animated films of all time. Frozen 1 and 2, Zootopia, Toy Story 3 and 4, they're big franchises worth a lot of money, and it's obvious why they're all coming back. And you might say, oh, but Encanto didn't make that level of money. Maybe not. But it certainly could have made that much money if it had the proper chance. After all, when it came out on Disney+, it absolutely blew up and was financially lucrative in that regard. And then it went on to win the Oscar, and the soundtrack went viral. Maybe not Frozen viral, but still viral. And that's only helped to continue to build this film's hype, to make it seem even more amazing, more interesting, more engaging, and thus increase the likelihood that people are going to want to spend their money to go and see the sequel when it comes out. In the world of animation, I feel like once you have that built-in trust towards a specific series, you can keep bringing the audience back and they will come again and again and again to see a new one. And they have the chance to do that with Encanto. And then on top of that, to further wash away that vibe of being the current animated laughingstock. Winning an Oscar might even be in the cards for Encanto 2. Even if it isn't that good, it could still win, because I feel like the category is often awarded to the most prominent film, rather than the best film, whatever that means. And so yeah, winning that award after a couple of years of bombs and embarrassments, that would be a nice boon for the studio. So those are the main reasons why I think an Encanto sequel has to be greenlit, has to come out at some point. Money! There's too much sense. It makes too much sense not to go with it at some point in the future. And I think that Bob Iger agrees with this. Could have sworn in one of those press release thingies he's done, where he talks about the future of the company, tries to make people forget what a piece of crap he was during the strikes. He referred to Encanto as a franchise, which would not be something you apply to a standalone film with no intention to follow up on. So it implies to me that there's something more in the works. But this in turn begs the question, what would this follow-up look like? And what would the story be? Okay, so there are 2 major ways to see it all play out. The first is like Tangled, you make a TV show follow-up. And I'll be honest, this ain't it, chief. If you want to bring back the success, bring back the money, bring back the good times, making a Disney Channel or Disney Plus cartoon is not the way. They're good, don't get me wrong, but that would almost certainly defeat the purpose of what we're going for. We're here for the box office. However, I guess they could end up doing some shorts like they did for Zootopia and Frozen. Little fun tasters of things to come and really build up the hype around the franchise again. Worked for Zootopia. That franchise had well and truly cooled off. And then they released those shorts and everyone was like, oh, Zootopia's cool. I hope there's a second one. And so I feel like there is room for some fun little Madrigal family helps the local villagers type of stories, where you take a couple of the family members, maybe one or so an episode, and they have a little storyline where they need to solve some problem or help some person or deal with some sort of family drama. Just general basic plot lines that don't go very long. Just there to make you smile, make you laugh, remind you who's who. You don't want anything that's going to change the status quo of the story. You just want fun little side quests, really. Like we see with the Zootopia shorts, or the Olaf shorts for Frozen. I think that's one way of continuing with the franchise, and if they do well, then maybe more people are going to be eager for that true sequel. And I wouldn't say no to that sort of content. But it would have to, in the end, just be supplementary. That can't be all there is, because let's be real, the true way for the franchise to continue in a way that can do justice to the original and get the recognition and financial reward it deserves is through a full-length feature film. Let's be honest, that is the only way. Could you imagine if the long-awaited follow-up to The Incredibles, a movie that cultivated a huge following and over a decade-long quest by its devoted fans to get a sequel to it, was a TV show? Oh, the buzzkill to end all buzzkills. Thank God that didn't happen. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to compare the long-term desire for an Incredibles follow-up to the more recent Encanto hype, but the point still stands. You follow up your big names, your big franchises, your marquee films with a subsequent marquee film. And in the end, it's all a business, and that's the right business choice. As for what it would be about, who knows? That could really be anything. You have a lot of directions you could take a movie, but in my eyes, there's two main ways to go. Either you do a brief time skip, a couple of years, not too long because, you want to see those OG characters. And you pick up with the family in the midst of a brand new crisis. A brand new crisis is looming. Something different though. Not necessarily, our powers, we're in trouble. Been there, done that. But maybe you got to keep picking at those old family wounds. After all, the first film is in the end about generational trauma. That's not going to go away over the course of an afternoon. I think they should still keep going with that. And so I think that's something to follow up on. Maybe following the point of view of one of the other cousins or the sisters that didn't get as much of a spotlight in the first film. Mirabelle should still be very important, but, share the load a little bit.
Share the load.
It's like how in The Incredibles 2, they sort of swapped Bob and Helen around. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here really. Either that, or you could do a prequel where you follow the OG triplets. And I think that could also be an interesting concept. But maybe that's more of a third film idea. But I still think it would do well and be popular because, we know the broad strokes of their life, but none of the finer details. And they were popular characters, especially Bruno. My God, the Bruno hype is real. And so, yeah, I guess I could have more ideas, but I'm not being paid by Disney. Think your own ideas, Disney. And so in the end, surely an Encanto follow-up is 100% on the cards. The only question remains, when and how. But yeah, beyond that, nothing much else to say, and so I'll leave you with this. These have been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of my ideas for an Encanto sequel? You on board with me? Maybe you disagree? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.